two sisters who believe that the purpose of life is to enjoy, create, and have fun. We believe that as humans, we can have anything we want, and things are always working out for us. Experience has taught us that the path to getting everything we want begins with ease. If you believe in miracles and happily ever after, or even if you just want to, then this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Kayla Rain.
I'm your co-host, Adria Shea.
And welcome back to Attract It with Ease. Nice to see you, Adria. It feels like forever since we've recorded. It's been too long. How are you?
I'm great. It's so good to see you. How are you?
Great. I'm good. Thank you. Feels good to be back at it again.
It does.
I know we both have some things that we're grateful for today. Why don't you share a couple with me?
I am grateful for the smell and the sound of rain. I don't know if I've said that before, but that is one of my favorite smells and sounds. I love it. I'm grateful for deep belly laughs. Especially when they're unexpected or, if I'm having a bad day or just if I'm having a day caught up in work or whatever, I just really love something that makes me laugh. And the last one makes me sound like a lazy person, but I'm really grateful for slip-on shoes. My favorite shoes are all slip-on.
That's awesome. Why? Why are you grateful for slip-on shoes?
Well, they're so easy. See, I am lazy at heart. But they're easy and they fit well. And
they don't even have to fit well if they're slip-on.
That's right. Oh, I don't know. There's just something really nice, I think, about being able to slide your foot on in, not having to take that extra 0.5 seconds to bend down and tie a shoelace or something.
I appreciate that too. I'm now thinking about all the times when I run outside for something, and it's nice to just have something to quickly slip on my feet instead of having to put on sneakers or something. So that's a good one. All right. So my first one today is I'm grateful for rapid COVID tests.
Wow.
I was sick last week and we didn't record, and I thought I might have COVID, and it was so nice to be able to go get a test and get results in under 24 hours and know that I didn't have COVID. And I've actually had a COVID test. It's been almost a year now, another time, and it was not rapid. And it was so frustrating to be quarantined, not knowing whether or not you had COVID. And so I'm so grateful that those tests are now available, and it's so much faster and easier to get your results and know if you need to stay home.
That's a great one. Go science.
Since I was sick, my other two items are in relation to my home because I've been at home quite a bit lately. So the next one is I'm grateful for my vacuum. I have a Dyson vacuum. It's one of those cordless stick vacuums, and it is so convenient and so amazing. I can use it to vacuum my car. I can use it to vacuum my house. It's so nice. I love it. I love it. If you don't have a Dyson, it's worth the money. That's my Dyson plug right there.
I have wanted one my whole life. So
I don't think they've been around your whole life.
Okay, I've wanted one for 20 years.
Fair enough. And then my third thing is I'm grateful for windows. I'm sure you've been in a place or even worked in a place before that has no windows. And it's awful. It's awful to have to sit indoors with just, I don't know, non-natural lighting. And it feels, I'll tell you, Dan, my fiance, works in a place where they do have they have windows along the front of the building, but he works towards the back of the building. And so unless he goes outside for lunch or something, he doesn't see outside until he leaves for the day. And all the time, he has no idea what the weather's like. He has no idea if the sun has set yet. He doesn't know what's going on because he can't see outside. And I love that you can see out a window. You can get the natural light in while you're working. I have a window in my office and I just really appreciate windows. Is that weird?
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. And something I've never thought of. So thank you.
You're welcome. So, Adria, today I want to talk about our need for feedback. And I don't mean you and I, it includes both of us, but I
Yes, it
mean
does.
the world's need for feedback. I want to talk about that and what that does to us and how that relates to the law of attraction. So, first of all, let me ask you, do you feel like you need feedback? Do you feel
Unfortunately,
like
yes, I thrive on it.
do you feel like you need validation in life?
I do. Yeah. I mean, need is a really strong word, but I will say I love and I crave. So yeah, I probably need. Need
I
sounds a little desperate.
I know it sounds desperate, but I think it's fair to say that we all need that because we all seek it out. But I think about a lot of the things that we look for approval on, simply if it's we just got a new hairdo, or we bought a new outfit, or I don't know, if I got a natu, what is a natu?
Tell me.
I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words today, but I am. If I got a new tattoo, that's a natu. A new tattoo. I would want somebody to notice and say something, and I would hope that what they said was positive. So there's things, and those are all physical things. They don't have to be physical, but there's things in life that we just constantly seek validation for. And I was thinking about this week because since I've been sick, I have been working by myself quite a bit this week, and or actually more than a week. But there's been 2 separate days when I got dressed and I felt like I was so cute. And I went to work and I went into an office and I worked all day by myself. And then I went home and thought to myself, nobody even saw me in my cute outfit today. And it made me want to rewear it again. And it made me want to, I was like, no one would know. I could totally wear it again tomorrow and no one would know. No one even saw me in it. But it was like I had this need for someone to see me in my cute outfit. And I thought, how weird and disgusting is that I can't just be okay with the fact that I looked good and be happy for myself that I looked good. Do you have moments like that?
Heck yes. And I think you should have texted me a picture that day. I would have validated your outfit.
But what if you hated it? Would you have lied?
I would have found something good to say about it. Like, oh, what a vibrant color that shirt is.
I don't know. I've really been thinking about this quite a bit over the last few days because I've mentioned on the podcast a couple of times that Esther Hicks and the teachings of Abraham have a series of meditations, and I love them. There are 2 in particular that I'm just obsessed with and I listen to over and over and over again. But there's one in particular that every single time I listen to it, there's a different piece of the meditation that really hits home for me. And I think that's why I listen to it so often, is that no matter what I'm experiencing or going through, good or bad, there's something in there that's exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. But one thing that stood out to me recently, and has other times in the past as well, but has been this idea of how we as humans have this incessant need for feedback, how we feel like we have to communicate everything. And it could be that we want someone's opinion before we make a decision. For example, if you were thinking about changing jobs, instead of just going out and looking for a new job, you would probably want to have a conversation with someone about it and get their input and see what they thought and see if they thought you were crazy or if you should stay or if you should go into a different field or the same field. We tend to want to include people in the big decisions in our life. That's one piece of it. It could be that we want someone to make us feel validated for a decision that we did make. Maybe it was a conversation that we had. Maybe we had an argument with someone and now we want to talk to someone else and see if someone else thinks that we were in the right or if the other person was in the right. We want feedback on that conversation. And so we'll replay the conversation and ask someone, well, what do you think? Well, do you think I was right? Do you think I was valid in saying that? We go through life and there's these pieces about almost everything that we do that we feel the need to seek validation. We feel the need to communicate what's happening with someone else. I've even been thinking about the fact that there's a whole phrase that says do it for the gram. Do you know what I mean when I say do it for the gram?
I haven't heard that.
You
I
must
assume
run in totally different circles than me.
I live under a rock.
No, I just mean that I'm engaged to a professional photographer. So everything is do it for the gram, meaning take a picture of it, make it Instagram worthy. To me, that is also that incessant need for feedback because you want to show the world how amazing your life is. You want to have these epic photos, or maybe you're this selfie taker that's every day or a couple times a week is, a new picture of the same angle of your face because you need that feedback or someone to validate you and tell you that you look good. There's just so many different ways that we go through life and we seek this validation. And I've been thinking about that. And number one, how strange that is that humans are that way because other animals are not like that. But I've also been thinking about how much negativity can be attached to this need for validation. Give me your thoughts, Adria, on whether or not you think it's negative or positive.
I think that needing that validation is putting a lot of power in the hands of somebody else. Control over one's emotions or mood or whatever, you're kind of handing that over to someone. I think if you're looking for validation, because depending how others respond to you, then it almost feels like a reflection of your own worth. So I guess it's a negative, but very normal thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's normal. I think we all do it. I think even if we worked on it, we would continue to do it. It's just ingrained and instilled in us, I think, to be that way. We connect by communicating. So I think communication is good, but I think seeking for approval from others or seeking validation outside of ourselves can be very unhealthy at times. And an example of that is that so much of the time you don't get what you want. In other words,
Yeah.
if you posted a selfie on Instagram and you didn't get a like for the first 24 hours, if no one commented and no one liked it,
Mhm.
imagine what that would do to you, like mentally and emotionally. And you'd probably end up taking the post down. You'd feel like crap. You'd wonder, did anyone even see it? I can't believe nobody said anything. But now you're starting to question yourself. You're wondering, maybe it wasn't a good photo. I thought it was a good photo. All of these negative ideas and thoughts come in simply because someone didn't engage with your picture.
Mhm.
So that's a piece. Um, it's like the haircut thing. If Dan went out and got a new haircut and came home and I didn't say something, after a little while, he's going to throw it in my face and say, I can't believe you didn't tell me that you liked my hair. And it's that piece of we put these expectations out there. And like you said, we're putting the control in someone else's hands, but we're also putting our own self-worth and in someone else's hands. And we don't know how people are going to respond. And just like when I asked you if I sent you a picture of me in my outfit and would you lie to me if you didn't like it? You said you would think of something positive, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, if I didn't get the response that I wanted from you, I'm going to end up having my feelings hurt.
Right.
So I want to chat about how this all relates to the law of attraction, because in this meditation from Esther Hicks, she talks about how this incessant need to communicate actually gets in the way of us being aligned with our inner being. And I've thought about that quite a bit because we talked about, and this is the same meditation, but I talked about this on a prior episode where it says when you're hooked up with your inner being, the words that come out of you are always the perfect words at the perfect time, in the perfect place with the perfect person. This is the same meditation. There's so much good in this. But if you are hooked up with your inner being, if you're completely in line, then you have everything that you need in yourself. You're completely balanced, you're whole, and you're just truly authentic to yourself. So when we separate from that and we decide that what we have or what we think or what we want is not sufficient, that we need someone else to give their feedback in order for us to feel validated, then we're taking ourselves away from being aligned with our inner being. And like you said, we're putting that in someone else's hands. We're giving them the power to control how we feel. What do you think about this conversation? What do you think about?
I think that for me, being aligned with my inner being is a lot easier said than done. I'm trying to figure out who my inner being is and then figure out how to constantly be aligned. So I'm glad that you explained a little bit about what that meant. Yeah, I don't know exactly why it's human nature to look outside ourselves for something that we really have inside ourselves. I mean, I think we are born loving ourselves and feeling our own worth. And at some point early on, we hand that off to everybody else and then desperately hope that they will give us bits and pieces of that back. I don't know why that is.
I don't know why that is either. And I think that there's also this piece of us that instead of taking life and trying to appreciate it simply for us and our own sake, we look for ways that we can share or express with other people. And I don't mean that as if it's a bad thing, but what I mean is that it's kind of like the stigma of going out to dinner by yourself and how weird that is, or going to a movie by yourself and how weird that is. And there are people that are comfortable doing that, but the mass majority are not. And we feel like we need someone else to experience life. We feel like we need another person in order to enjoy. And I think about even just seeing a nice sunset, and just like we were talking about putting something on Instagram, often when you see something that's incredible, instead of just stopping and appreciating it and enjoying it for yourself, you feel the need to share it with someone else. You feel the need to take a picture of it and send it to somebody, or take a picture of it and post it on social media. You want that engagement. You want someone to know that. Just like we were saying, when you're experiencing something incredible, maybe you're going to this is probably not happening right now in the world, but some cool concert, or you, I don't know. I'm thinking about when Dan and I went ziplining for his birthday. It's one of those things where instead of just appreciating it for us, you want to feel like you need to tell the rest of the world, oh, I did this. I'm doing this. This is what my life looks like. It's amazing. And maybe that's not the attitude behind it. It's amazing. It's still this, you feel that you want to let everyone else know for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
so go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. Totally relating to everything you're saying. I'm actually thinking about the other day, I saw this beautiful view of the mountains. And so I took a picture. I mean, it was amazing. We have amazing mountains where we live here in Utah, where I live. And I took this picture and I sent it to a couple of people. And the first person I sent it to said, wow, those are some really cute hills where you live. And I was like, no, you are totally missing the point. These are majestic, grand. I didn't even know how to respond. And I felt I didn't get the reaction I wanted. I felt really let down. So you're right. I should have just taken in the awe of that vision and appreciated it on my own. It was better
It's
before I sent the photo out.
it's one of these things that I don't know. It's a tricky conversation because on the one hand you can say keep it all to yourself and don't communicate. But I don't think that that's what life is about and that's the way that it's supposed to be. I don't think that we're not supposed to communicate. I think the piece here is that so much of the time our need to communicate results in negativity. And here's a prime example. Every single day, Dan and I go to work, we come home, and when we first see each other, we kiss and then ask each other how our day was. How do you think that conversation typically goes?
I think it's a great opportunity for you to unload anything that didn't go well during your day.
That's exactly what the conversation is. I mean, when it's an incredible day, we definitely share that. But it's a lot easier to find things that didn't go well in your day than to sit and go, oh, it was a pretty normal day. And so that's what happens is he comes home and tells me how crazy busy he was and how just this morning he was telling me about something that happened yesterday because he'd forgotten to tell me yesterday when he came home because there were so many other things to talk about yesterday. But he mentioned that he asked a guy to put gas in a forklift and the guy had never done it before. And so he gassed it up and he put the gas in the wrong place. So
no.
It was in, I can't even remember, but one of the other, like, you can tell I'm not technologically savvy. It was like in the steering, like,
One of
area
the
or
holes
something.
for fluids.
It was a fluid hole for sure. This sounds very technical. You can tell that if someone asked me to gas up a forklift, this is exactly what would happen. I would
Well,
put it
why
in a
aren't those
fluid
holes
hole.
labeled? That's what I want to know. Why aren't they just labeled?
Well, what I want to know is why did someone send someone to get gas without showing them where the gas goes? But in any case, it turned into this whole situation because the forklift then wouldn't work because the gas was not in the correct place. And then that whatever liquid was supposed to be there, it had to be flushed and replaced in this whole thing. So of course, that's what happens. You come home and you tend to vent about your day if something didn't go right instead of just allowing all of the bad things that already happened to kind of fall away and shift your energy and your mood because now you're home and so you can be in a good mood. But that's something that happens constantly at my house and I think you and probably our listeners can relate to that. You want to be able to share your experiences with your loved ones or your friends, maybe it's just a roommate. But you also, like I said, if you had an argument or if you had something bad happen, you want the other person to acknowledge that and feel sorry for you or give you advice or take your side on things. And I'll tell you where this turns into trouble for me. This is an area that Dan and I struggle with in our communication is oftentimes when I try and complain to him, he goes into fix it mode. So I'll come home about something and I'll vent and complain. And instead of him turning to me and saying, I'm so sorry. Here, let me rub your shoulders and pour you a glass of wine. It sounds like you've had a bad day, which is what I want, right? Definitely
Listen,
the shoulder
Dan,
rubbing,
listen
Dan.
up.
If you're listening, yes, just rub my shoulders. That's what I'm looking for. But he goes into fix it mode because that's the type of person that he is. He wants to solve my problems for me. So then it turns into this huge discussion about, well, why don't you do this? Well, why didn't you do that? Well, why did you say this? And then I get frustrated because I'm not getting what I want from him in response. And I wasn't looking for solutions. And sometimes his solutions feel forceful where I feel like he's telling me what to do, or he's saying that, well, why didn't you just do this? Almost like I'm crazy. And why didn't you see that the solution was right in front of you? You could have handled it right away if you had just done this. And then we end up sometimes like in a heated discussion about it. And I'm going, I just wanted you to listen. I just wanted you to feel bad for me for a second. And it happens constantly because he and I communicate differently, but it's just one of those ways where I feel like I'm communicating or I feel like I want to get something off my chest. It's almost always something negative that I'm complaining about. And then I don't get the result that I want. And so that negativity just continues because I'm reliving it as I'm telling the story. And then instead of it just being done there because I released it, it now continues because we're talking about solutions and we're talking about, you know, we'll try this and why didn't you do that? And then, like I said, sometimes it even becomes heated between he and I just simply because I brought it up and it didn't even have anything to do with him. Have you ever experienced something like that, Adria, where you share something and you almost end up just adding to the negativity instead of resolving it by talking about it?
Yes, I can definitely think of times where I have related to, say, a coworker at work that there's a couple girls that I work with that I don't see really often. And so when I see them, they'll say, how's your family? How's whatever was going on the last time I talked to them going? And I have noticed that same thing. If I start to fill them in on the details, I start to get worked up again about all the drama and all the feelings come back. And it is a little bit crazy because, like you said, it already happened once. So why do I want to re-experience the negativity a second time? I don't really.
Right. So this is probably a no-brainer, but our podcast is about the law of attraction. Why do you think I wanted to talk about this today?
Because we attract what we give our energy to, our attention to.
Absolutely. I think it would be unfair for us to say nothing bad will ever happen, or it would be unreasonable for us to say, don't ever talk about anything bad that happens. I think it would be unrealistic for us to think that we're not ever going to vent or that we shouldn't communicate. I think we should communicate. I think that's a piece that helps us bond and connect with other humans. But I think we should be very careful about how we communicate and the way that we almost set ourselves up constantly for disappointment or more negativity because of the validation and the feedback that we're constantly seeking. And so I've been thinking about, okay, how do I get this message across to listeners? And what do you recommend as far as how do you give them an action item without saying, well, just don't be negative. Don't do it. Don't seek validation. I mean, that's easy to say, but it's not easy to do.
Right.
So I've been thinking about it because there's so many different ways that we seek validation, and social media is a big, big part of it. And so you could just simply focus on that piece. But there's just the constant day to day. When you get on the phone with someone you haven't talked to in a while and they ask how you're doing, you have one of two choices. You can either just be like, oh, I'm good, which really doesn't say anything or update anyone. Or you can start telling them everything that's been going on. And if you have all these fabulous positive things to share, great. But if you don't, then you're probably going to say things like, I started this podcast saying, oh, I've just been sick and I've been doing this. And we have a tendency to talk about the things that are negative, I would say, more often than we talk about the things that are positive. I think when something's like way out of the norm, super exciting, like you got a new job, or you just found out you were pregnant, or you manifested money in the mail, which I did, by the way. I should share
Ooh,
that.
yes, I want to hear about that.
We'll tangent to that in a minute. But when those kinds of things happen, I think, yes, we have a tendency to tell other people and share those things. But I think beyond that, the other details that we tend to talk about are the things that aren't positive, the things we want to complain about, the things we want feedback on, the things that we seek validation for. And I'm not saying that every time you seek validation, it's negative. And maybe you get a positive result because maybe you post a selfie and 500 people tell you how amazingly beautiful you are, and you got a lot of positivity out of that. That's great. But I think just simply the act of expecting a result allows us to, or opens the door, I should say, for us to be disappointed or for something negative to occur. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having expectations of anything or anyone is kind of tricky territory. So I agree with you 100%. Good
Okay.
job.
Thanks. Well, going back to this meditation, one of the things that it says, and I laugh about it when I think about it because it sounds funny and it is funny, but it talks about, it's essentially talking about being in alignment and how sometimes just talking about our day or sharing what's going on takes us out of alignment. And it specifically says, when you go home to those who love you and they say, "So tell me about it," say to them, "No." And every time I hear that part of the meditation, it does make me laugh because it seems so funny that if somebody asks you, "So how was your day?" and you say, "No." And I don't think that's
Exactly.
really, I don't think no is really what's intended there, but implying like, don't tell them about it, don't get into it. And Esther Hicks goes on to say, tell them, I just want to stay in this high vibrational state. But I think there's some value in that idea of teaching yourself to turn off the complaining. And I don't mean just turn off the complaining, but why do you have to relive your day? Unless something amazing happened, unless you got a promotion or a raise or invented some incredible thing, or I don't know, had a big sale or something. Like if it's just an everyday average day and what you normally would talk about is, "Oh my gosh, I was late for this," or "I had to spend an hour on a meeting that could have been an email," or "I had to cover so and so because they left early," or "I have so much on my plate because this person's on vacation," or "this person completely misunderstood me and I meant this." If that's the conversation that you're going to have when they ask you, "How was your day?" what if you just said, "I don't want to talk about it"? Or what if you just said, "It's fine"? Or what if you just said, "Let's talk about something else"? It doesn't have to be like, "I don't want to talk about it." But what if instead of engaging in that conversation, which is our habit, it's what we usually would do, what if we shifted the conversation and didn't relive the experience? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm going to need to do something majorly exciting every single day so I have something to talk about.
Well,
I like
there's
your
a goal.
idea. Yes, I like your idea. I think it's going to be tricky for me to apply because I don't know, maybe it will just encourage me to look for more positivity in my day.
Well, I think it would, because if you think about it, the glass is always half empty or half full, right? So it's easy to point out the negative things that happen. What a great exercise to look for the positive things that happened, or to vocalize the positive things that happened. And maybe the positive things that happened were simply, my day was good. I got out on time. I was able to take my lunch on time, or
My
I got
my car
everything
ran
done.
all day.
Yeah,
Nothing broke
exactly.
today. No one died today. It was a great day.
Seriously. How about instead of focusing on the person that was late or the extra work or the assignment that you don't want to do or whatever you were going to complain about, you say something, even if it's an obvious statement, like, I don't know, for me, an obvious statement would be, "I finished my whole cup of coffee."
Without interruption. Yay.
It
I
feels
like
so,
it.
I mean, we're laughing about it, but it feels so much better. It feels so good. And I think it would probably humor the other person you were talking to the point that as soon as they started venting, they're going to realize, oh my gosh, this person had nothing negative to say. And here I'm spewing my negativity all over them. I think it would shift both people's energy to a little bit. And I think the whole point is the awareness of the conversation. It's not about don't have the conversation. It's not about don't post on social media. It's not about don't take selfies. It's not about don't talk about your day. It's what is the negativity that we are putting out into the universe, or what is the negativity that we've already went through once today that we're now deciding to go through a second time by talking about it and going through it again. And we're kind of talking about several different things because we seek validation in more ways than one. But I think the whole point is that any time that we look for feedback, whether it's through a conversation, through a social post, through a text message or a picture that we send someone, anytime that we do that, we are then putting our happiness in the hands of someone else, not knowing what we're going to get in return. So I think this kind of leads us to our action item. So we'll give that, and then I'll share my experience about the money in the mail.
Okay, perfect.
Our action item for our listeners is I challenge you, listeners, to have one day, just one day, pick today. Unless you've already had this conversation, then pick tomorrow.
Unless it's the end of the day when you're listening, then pick
And
tomorrow.
that's a cheater. Pick a day. And I challenge you to try not to talk about the negative things that happened. Keep it to yourself. So if you were late for work, don't tell anyone about it. I'm not saying your boss. Don't come home and complain about how you got in trouble. If you had extra work piled on you, don't complain about it. If you spilled coffee on your dress, don't complain about it. Don't tell anyone. And this isn't about, at work that I'm specifically talking about. This is instead of needing to communicate everything that happens, instead of feeling like you can't just appreciate and enjoy things for yourself, try and keep the negativity in the past. So when it occurs, deal with it, move on. Deal with it, move on. Have the conversations that you share only be the positive. And I know that this is too much to ask for you to do this forever from here forward. Even I complain. I just told you I do all the time. And Dan does not give me the sympathy I'm looking for most often. It's a work in progress. But I think we can challenge ourselves to be better about it. And I want to challenge the listeners to pick one day to really focus on, I'm going to try not to repeat the negativity. What do you think of that, Adria?
I like it. I accept that challenge myself. And I like the idea of taking one day and only giving our energy to things that deserve our energy.
That's a good way to sum it up. I appreciate that. Yeah, those negative things that happen, we maybe can't control whether or not those things come about, but we can control whether or not we relive them, and we can control what our attraction point is. And so let's not give any energy to the negative things. Let's give all of our energy to the positive things, and let's attract more good and positivity, and let's seek out the positivity. Let's seek to see the glass half full and find the good pieces of our day instead of focusing on whatever didn't go perfectly.
I love it.
So that's the action item from this week. Now let's talk about money in the mail. So a few episodes back, we talked about trying to manifest small little things. And often when we share an action item, Adria, you or I either challenge each other or we will say, I'm going to try that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a few things that I've tried recently just from action items. But one was I thought after we recorded the episode, I thought, you know what? It's been a long time since I've tried to manifest money in the mail. I should try that again. And so I really spent some time thinking about it. And I even thought about my beliefs about it. Even though I've manifested money in the mail countless times, I started thinking, like, do I actually believe I can manifest money in the mail? And then I was like, that's crazy. Of course I do. I just talked about it on the podcast and I've done it so many times. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to let it go. I don't know how or when. And then I started expecting it. And like by the very next day, I was like expecting to get something in the mail. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, nothing came. And several days went by and nothing came. And then I finally just forgot that I had said I was going to manifest money in the mail because enough time passed that it didn't occur that I just took the pressure off. I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. And I think it was 2 days ago, I got a letter in the mail from a seller on Amazon that
Hmm.
I had purchased a nail kit from, like to paint my nails,
Mm-hmm.
that had said, we're a brand new seller. We appreciate you buying our products. And if you would be willing to write us a review, we'll give you a $15 gift card.
Nice.
And I was like, I think this qualifies as money in the mail. It
Heck
came in the
yeah.
mail.
Heck yeah.
All I had to do is write a review. It's $15. I was so stoked because I instantly thought, this is my money in the mail that I manifested. And it was, again, one of those things that was not on my radar. It was not the route that I would have expected to get money in the mail. You know, I think of an actual check or cash or something. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I think this qualifies. I was really excited about it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Because you weren't being asked to do anything. I mean, you were reviewing a product you'd already purchased. So
Yeah. Why
you
would I
weren't
not do
really
that?
being asked to. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's
They didn't
great.
even
And like
ask
you said,
for, go
it's,
ahead.
I was just going to say, like you said, it's a method that never would have been on my radar as a way
Yeah,
to get money.
seriously. I was so excited. They didn't even ask for a 5-star review. It was just leave a review. If you'll leave a review, we'll give you a $15 gift card. I was so excited about it. And it wasn't even a gift card for their products. It was an Amazon gift card for anything.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
anyway, I thought that was fun.
Congratulations on your manifestation skills.
Woohoo! So before we wrap up today, we also need to talk about the fact that we have a new winner for our bracelets.
Yay.
So this winner is someone who tried desperately to leave us a review, Adria. This is someone who does not have an
Thank you.
iPhone and messaged me a few times saying, I cannot figure out how to leave a review. And listeners, we completely understand that there are only a couple of platforms that let you leave reviews. So Adria and I had a brief conversation about this, but we've thought, you know what? What do we do for the listeners that really want to leave a review, want to be included in the giveaway, but cannot figure out how to leave us a review? And so we have decided that if you will email us a review or send us a review through Instagram or YouTube or any of our channels, if you will send us a review, then you will still be included in our drawing. Now, our preference is that you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you can, since that is the platform that the majority of people do listen to podcasts. Spotify is the next biggest platform, but Spotify does not let you leave reviews. But you can leave reviews on Podchaser. You can leave reviews on Audible. There's a number of different places that you can. But those of you who are listening on a platform that does not allow you to leave a review, go ahead and send us an email. Go ahead and reach out to us through Instagram and let us know your thoughts. We'll post your review on our website and we'll include you in our drawing. So this winner is someone who desperately wanted to leave a review, but has not been able to leave it online. And this winner is Leanne Vincent. Leanne, thank you for being a dedicated listener. We appreciate you. Your review was wonderful. Adria, I don't know if I've shared it with you yet, but Leanne actually shared a couple of things that she manifested for herself and how much she's learned from the podcast already. And it was so exciting. And I felt like, you know what? She is so deserving. So, Leanne, send us an email at hello@attractitwithease.com. Tell us your word for the year and your address, and we will send you your custom bracelet. Adria, do you want to remind the listeners of how they can get a bracelet as well?
Yes, each week this year, we will draw a name from the people that have submitted reviews of our podcast. And the person that we draw will get a custom bracelet with their theme word of the year. We've got pictures of some of those up on our website as we've been sending them out, and they're gorgeous. You need to check out our website and see those bracelets. They're really neat.
We have some of our vision boards up on the website now, too. So send us photos of your vision boards, send us your stories, reach out to us. We love hearing from our listeners. Submit questions. Let us know what you want us to cover. Let us know your experiences. And for those of you that are just listening to us for the first time, the first 10 episodes are our Jumpstart module. So go back and download episodes 1 through 10. Then go to our website, attractitwithease.com, and you can download a free workbook that will have all of the action items from the first 10 episodes so that you can jumpstart your ability to manifest all of your desires. Adria, anything else you want to add tonight?
No, I'm good. I'm excited about the action item, and we'll see what tomorrow looks like with no negativity.
I can't wait to hear about it. Thank you so much. It was fun chatting with you, and I'll talk with you next week.
Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.